Meet Aztec with new Versatrack all-wheel drive. Meet Sarah and Jake. They're about to
do some carving.
I'm all about all-wheel drive. It's like, did I buy 4 wheels? Then make them all drive.
Spoken like a real guy.
Let's make some tracks.
Then they
have a ball.
Nice driving, Gramps.
Hey, Sarah!
I saw this in a TV commercial once.
Let it snow, let it snow. Awesome, baby.
Meet Aztec, quite possibly the most versatile vehicle on the planet. By Pontiac.
Welcome to The Car Professor, the channel where we dig deep into the best, the worst, and the downright baffling creations of the automotive world. Today, we're talking about a car that has achieved infamy for all the wrong reasons, the Pontiac Aztek. Marketed as a sporty, adventurous crossover, the Aztek promised to combine functionality and style. What it delivered, however, was a vehicle so bizarre and flawed that it became a cultural punchline. From its controversial design to its array of engineering missteps, the Aztek was Pontiac's attempt to capture the growing SUV market. Instead, it became a lesson in what happens when bold ideas aren't backed by solid execution. So buckle up, subscribe to The Car Professor, and let's explore the 30 reasons why the Pontiac Aztek deserves its spot as one of the worst cars in history. 1. Bizarre styling. The Pontiac Aztek's design was a Frankenstein's monster of clashing shapes and awkward proportions. Its split grille, overstyled headlights, and blocky rear end gave it a look that seemed more like a rejected sci-fi prop than a family SUV. The car's designers reportedly wanted it to stand out in the growing crossover market, and boy, did it ever. Unfortunately, standing out isn't always a good thing. Critics lambasted the Aztek's aesthetic, calling it one of the ugliest cars ever made. Focus groups reportedly hated the design, but it still made it to production. The car became a symbol of Pontiac's declining fortunes, with even die-hard brand loyalists unable to defend its appearance. If first impressions are everything, the Aztek's looks were a deal-breaker for many. 2. Poor build quality. Pontiac wasn't just criticized for the Aztek's appearance, it also faced backlash for its subpar construction. The car was riddled with poorly assembled panels, uneven gaps, and flimsy trim pieces that felt more like toys than durable components. Owners often found parts breaking, warping, or falling off after minimal use. Even the structural integrity of the car was questionable. Doors didn't align properly, interior plastics scratched easily, and weather seals frequently failed, leading to leaks and water damage. This lack of durability wasn't just annoying, it undermined the Aztek's entire premise as a reliable, adventurous vehicle. 3. Overcomplicated interior. Inside the Aztek, things didn't improve much. The dashboard was a confusing array of oddly placed buttons, poorly labeled controls, and cheap materials. While Pontiac aimed to make the interior functional, the execution left drivers frustrated and overwhelmed. The seating arrangements, while flexible in theory, were uncomfortable in practice. The much-touted removable cooler, built into the center console, felt more like a gimmick than a practical feature. Even the storage compartments, which were supposed to make the car versatile, were oddly shaped and difficult to use. For a car that promised practicality, the Aztek's interior was a usability nightmare. 4. Awkward proportions. The Aztek's design wasn't just ugly, it was physically awkward. The car's short nose, tall profile, and oddly slanted rear made it look like it couldn't decide if it was an SUV, a minivan, or a hatchback. This confusion extended to its functionality, as the design left it with limited cargo space and a high center of gravity. The Aztek's proportions also affected its visibility. drivers struggled with blind spots caused by the thick rear pillars, and the sloping rear window reduced rearward visibility. Parking and maneuvering the car became a chore, making it far less practical than its marketing suggested. 6. Poor fuel economy. For a car with modest engine power, the Aztec's fuel economy was surprisingly bad. It managed around 16-20 miles per gallon in real-world conditions, which was comparable to larger SUVs with far more capability. The car's heavy weight and poor aerodynamics only exacerbated the problem, making it an inefficient choice for budget-conscious buyers. The poor fuel economy was especially glaring in an era when consumers were beginning to prioritize efficiency. Competitors like the Toyota RAV4 and Honda CR-V offered better mileage, with more refined powertrains, leaving the Aztec looking outdated and overpriced by comparison. 7. Uninspired handling. Despite being marketed as a sporty crossover, the Aztec delivered a driving experience that was anything but engaging. The steering was vague and unresponsive, giving drivers little confidence in its ability to navigate tight corners or rough terrain. The suspension, while comfortable on smooth roads, felt floaty and disconnected when pushed. The car's high center of gravity and unbalanced weight distribution further detracted from its handling. On winding roads, it leaned excessively, and on uneven surfaces, it felt unstable. The Aztec wasn't just uninspiring to drive, it was actively disappointing, especially for buyers who had hoped for an adventurous SUV experience. 8. Misleading marketing. Pontiac's marketing team promised that the Aztec would revolutionize the crossover market with its bold design and innovative features. Advertisements highlighted its versatility, showcasing families camping with the car's optional tent accessory and tailgating with its built-in cooler. In reality, these features were rarely used and felt more like gimmicks than game changers. The disconnect between marketing and reality left many buyers feeling misled. The car didn't live up to its promise of being a jack-of-all-trades SUV, and its awkward design and limited functionality only amplified the disappointment. Instead of revolutionizing the market, the Aztec became a cautionary tale in overpromising and under-delivering. 9. Cheap plastic everywhere. The Aztec's interior was dominated by hard, cheap plastic that felt out of place in a car at its price point. The dashboard, door panels, and center console were all made from materials that scratched easily, aged poorly, and made the car feel cheaper than it was. Owners often complained that the plastic trim would rattle over bumps, crack under minor stress, and discolor after prolonged sun exposure. For a vehicle that aimed to blend style and practicality, the Aztec's interior materials failed to deliver on both fronts, leaving buyers with a cabin that felt dated almost immediately. 10. Overpriced at launch. Despite its many flaws, Pontiac priced the Aztec aggressively, with base models starting around $21,000 in 2001, equivalent to over $33,000 today. This positioned it alongside better designed, better built competitors like the Toyota Highlander and Ford Escape. Buyers quickly realized that they could get far more value for their money elsewhere. The Aztec's price tag didn't just hurt its sales, it also reinforced its image as a poorly thought out vehicle. For many, the car's high cost was the final nail in the coffin, ensuring that it would go down in history as one of the automotive industry's most spectacular flops. 11. Overcomplicated exterior features. The Pontiac Aztek was loaded with features that sounded innovative on paper, but proved frustrating in real-world use. The most infamous was the optional two-piece rear tailgate. While it was marketed as a convenient design for tailgating or camping, in practice, it was cumbersome and prone to mechanical failure. The lower half folded down like a truck tailgate, but the hinges were fragile, often leading to repairs. The roof racks, another heavily advertised feature, were poorly designed. They lacked proper spacing and strength for heavy loads, making them more of a cosmetic add-on than a functional one. And let's not forget the bizarrely small rear window, which reduced visibility and made the cargo area feel claustrophobic. These exterior gimmicks didn't just fail to add value, they actively detracted from the car's usability. Instead of enhancing the SUV experience, they became yet another source of frustration for owners who expected functionality from their adventurous vehicle.
12. Poor aerodynamics.
The Aztek's blocky design wasn't just an aesthetic misstep, it was a functional one too. The car's poor aerodynamics created significant drag, which not only hurt its already unimpressive fuel economy, but also contributed to excessive wind noise at highway speeds. Driving the Aztek at 60 mph often felt like piloting a brick against a strong headwind. The slanted rear and protruding roofline further hampered efficiency, creating turbulence that affected both stability and fuel consumption. Competitors like the Toyota RAV4 and Honda CR-V managed to blend functionality with sleek aerodynamic designs, leaving the Aztek looking and driving like a relic of bad engineering. This lack of aerodynamic refinement wasn't just an oversight, it was a glaring flaw in a market where practicality and efficiency were becoming increasingly important. Instead of leading the charge in crossover innovation, the Aztek fell flat, literally and figuratively. 13. Limited rear cargo space. For a vehicle marketed as a versatile SUV, the Aztek offered surprisingly little cargo room. The sharply slanted rear end, while intended to look sporty, significantly limited storage capacity. Large or bulky items were nearly impossible to fit, and the narrow tailgate opening made loading and unloading a headache. Even with the rear seats folded flat, the cargo area was oddly shaped, with uneven surfaces and awkward contours that wasted valuable space. This was particularly frustrating for families or outdoor enthusiasts who needed a practical vehicle to haul gear, groceries, or camping equipment. Many owners found themselves compromising or looking for alternative solutions, like using a different car. The Aztek's limited cargo space wasn't just inconvenient, it was another example of how its design prioritized form over function. In a segment where practicality was a key selling point, this flaw made the car feel like a half-hearted attempt to compete. 14. Unreliable electrical systems. The Aztek's electrical systems were a source of constant frustration for owners. From faulty power windows to failing dashboard lights, the car's wiring seemed to have a mind of its own. Owners frequently reported issues with the battery draining unexpectedly, leaving them stranded and scrambling for a jump start. The HVAC controls were another weak point. Many owners experienced blower motor failures or inaccurate temperature readings, making the car uncomfortable to drive in extreme weather. Even the car's stereo system, which was heavily advertised as a premium feature, was plagued with glitches like speakers cutting out or radios failing to turn on altogether. These electrical gremlins weren't just minor inconveniences, they were expensive to diagnose and fix. For many, the Aztek's unreliable electronics added yet another layer of disappointment to an already frustrating ownership experience. Noisy cabin. Driving the Pontiac Aztek meant embracing noise, lots of it. The combination of poor insulation, hard plastic surfaces, and a clunky drivetrain created a cacophony of sounds that turned every trip into an endurance test. Engine noise was particularly intrusive, with the coarse 3.4L V6 groaning loudly under acceleration. Wind noise was another constant companion, thanks to the car's poor aerodynamics and leaky weather seals. On highways, the whooshing sound around the A-pillars and doors made conversation nearly impossible without shouting. Road noise from the tires added to the discomfort, especially on rough or uneven surfaces. For a vehicle marketed as a versatile, adventurous crossover, the Aztek's noisy cabin was a glaring oversight. Instead of delivering comfort and refinement, it created an environment that felt unfinished and unrefined, leaving drivers yearning for peace and quiet.
16. Expensive repairs.
While the Aztek was priced as an affordable crossover, owning one often meant shelling out for expensive repairs. Its unique design required specialized parts that weren't readily available, driving up the cost of even routine fixes. Owners frequently found themselves waiting weeks for replacement components, especially for body panels and electrical systems. The car's infamous intake manifold gasket failure was a costly repair that many owners faced. Coupled with its problematic transmission and HVAC systems, the Aztek became a money pit for those unlucky enough to own one. The costs didn't stop there. Poor resale value meant owners couldn't recoup their expenses when it came time to sell. For buyers looking for affordable transportation, the Aztek's repair bills were a harsh reality check. It wasn't just a bad car, it was an expensive mistake that continued to cost long after the initial purchase. 17. Limited off-road capability. Despite its adventurous marketing, the Aztek was poorly equipped for anything beyond paved roads. Its front-wheel drive setup was standard, and while all-wheel drive was an option, it wasn't robust enough to handle serious off-road challenges. The car lacked ground clearance, skid plates, and locking differentials, essentials for tackling rugged terrain. Even minor off-road excursions, like gravel paths or muddy fields, often left the Aztek struggling for traction. The suspension, while decent on smooth roads, couldn't absorb the bumps and ruts of uneven terrain, making the ride uncomfortable and unsteady. For anyone hoping the Aztek could double as a weekend adventure vehicle, the reality was a bitter disappointment. The Aztek's limited off-road capability wasn't just a missed opportunity, it was a direct contradiction of its adventurous branding. Buyers looking for a true outdoor companion quickly realized they'd been sold an illusion, not a capable SUV.
18. Weak towing capacity.
For a crossover, the Aztek's towing capacity was unimpressive. With a maximum rating of 3,500 pounds, it was underpowered compared to similarly sized competitors. The weak V6 engine struggled when hauling even light loads, and the transmission often overheated under the strain. This limited towing ability further reduced the Aztek's practicality. Families hoping to tow small campers or trailers often found themselves looking elsewhere, as the Aztek couldn't reliably handle the job. Even utility tasks, like towing a small boat or trailer for weekend trips, pushed the car to its limits. In a segment where versatility was key, the Aztek's poor towing capacity was another nail in its coffin. It was marketed as a car for active lifestyles, but failed to deliver on one of the most basic requirements for that audience. "19. Bland driving experience." The Aztek promised excitement and adventure, but behind the wheel, It was a bland and uninspiring experience. The steering felt disconnected, offering little feedback or precision. Acceleration was sluggish, and the car struggled to maintain speed on inclines or under heavy loads. The suspension, while soft enough for city driving, lacked composure on highways and winding roads. Body roll was excessive, and the overall handling felt more like a minivan than a sporty crossover. For a vehicle positioned as an adventurous alternative, the Aztek fell flat in delivering driving enjoyment. Instead of feeling like a step forward for Pontiac, the Aztek felt like a missed opportunity. It wasn't just boring, it was forgettable, leaving drivers with no reason to recommend it over more capable and engaging competitors.
20. Limited appeal to target market.
Pontiac aimed the Aztek at a younger, adventurous crowd. Think outdoor enthusiasts and active families. But the car's bizarre design and high price tag alienated this very demographic. The younger buyers Pontiac wanted to attract were looking for stylish, capable, and affordable vehicles, not an SUV that looked like it was designed in a boardroom without input from actual drivers. Even the so-called adventure features, like the optional camping tent attachment, felt more like gimmicks than genuine innovations. Most buyers saw through the marketing fluff and opted for more practical and proven alternatives like the Toyota RAV4 or Subaru Outback. The Aztek wasn't just a failure to its target audience, it became a symbol of how out of touch Pontiac had become with consumer desires. 21. Unreliable transmission. The Aztek's 4-speed automatic transmission was notorious for its unreliability. Drivers frequently experienced jerky shifts, delayed engagement, and premature wear. Transmission failures often occurred before the car reached 100,000 miles, leaving owners with repair bills that could easily exceed the car's value. In addition to being unreliable, the transmission was poorly calibrated, leading to sluggish performance and inefficient power delivery. The car often felt like it was struggling to find the right gear, especially during highway driving or uphill climbs. For a vehicle marketed as versatile, the Aztek's transmission was a glaring weak point that frustrated owners and mechanics alike. 22. Polarizing brand reputation. By the time the Aztek debuted, Pontiac was already struggling with its brand identity. Known for performance cars like the Firebird and GTO, Pontiac's attempt to enter the crossover market felt like an awkward departure from its roots. The Aztek, with its odd design and lackluster performance, only worsened Pontiac's reputation. The Aztek became synonymous with the brand's decline, and its failure to resonate with consumers highlighted how far Pontiac had fallen from its glory days. Even as Pontiac tried to reposition itself with newer models, the shadow of the Aztek loomed large, serving as a reminder of one of the brand's most infamous missteps. 23. Mediocre all-wheel drive system. While the Aztek offered an all-wheel drive AWD option, it was far from impressive. The system lacked the sophistication of competitors, offering minimal improvement in traction and stability. In snowy or wet conditions, the AWD system struggled to provide confidence, leaving drivers feeling unsure of the car's capabilities. The AWD system also added weight, further hampering the car's already poor fuel economy and sluggish performance. For buyers who expected a rugged, go-anywhere vehicle, the Aztek's mediocre AWD system was a disappointment that reinforced its inability to live up to its adventurous branding. 24. Short lifespan. The Aztek's production run lasted from 2001 to 2005, a painfully short lifespan for a vehicle meant to be a cornerstone of Pontiac's lineup. Poor sales and relentless criticism forced GM to pull the plug, with the Aztec becoming a financial and reputational burden for the brand. Even within its short production run, Pontiac made minimal improvements to address the car's flaws. By the time the Aztec was discontinued, it was clear that GM had given up on trying to salvage the vehicle's tarnished reputation. The Aztec's abrupt exit from the market was as unceremonious as its entry, cementing its place as a textbook example of a failed launch. 25. Poor resale value. The Aztec's poor reputation and polarizing design tanked its resale value. Within just a few years of ownership, the car's market value dropped significantly, leaving owners unable to recoup even a fraction of their initial investment. Dealers were reluctant to accept Aztecs as trade-ins, and private sales often required heavy discounts to attract buyers. For owners, the Aztec wasn't just a bad purchase, it was a financial sinkhole. The rapid depreciation added insult to injury, making the car a regrettable choice, even for those who tried to see its potential. 26. Leaky rear hatch. The Aztec's oddly shaped rear hatch wasn't just an eyesore, it was also prone to leaking. Poor weather stripping and misaligned panels allowed water to seep into the cargo area, damaging belongings and creating musty odors. Owners in rainy or snowy climates found themselves battling constant moisture problems, turning a supposed family-friendly SUV into a moldy headache. Fixing the leaks often required replacing the seals or even adjusting the hatch itself, but these solutions weren't always effective. The leaky rear hatch wasn't just a minor inconvenience. It was yet another example of the Aztec's failure to deliver on basic functionality. 27. Uncomfortable rear seats. While the front seats in the Aztec were reasonably comfortable, the rear seats left much to be desired. The cushions were thin, and the upright backrest angle made long trips a challenge for passengers. Adding to the discomfort was the lack of rear legroom, which felt cramped despite the car's boxy proportions. The rear seats were also tricky to fold down, requiring awkward maneuvers that felt unnecessarily complicated. For a car marketed as versatile and family-friendly, the uncomfortable and impractical rear seating was a significant oversight that further alienated buyers. 28. Bland color options. Pontiac didn't do the Aztec any favors when it came to color choices. The palette ranged from uninspired grays to dull earth tones, doing little to distract from the car's odd shape. While bold colors might have helped the Aztec stand out in a good way, the muted options only highlighted its lack of visual appeal. Even when owners tried to personalize their Aztecs with aftermarket paint jobs, the car's awkward proportions and design flaws remained front and center. The bland colors were yet another missed opportunity to add some much-needed flair to a vehicle that desperately needed it. 29. High insurance costs. Despite its lack of performance or luxury features, the Aztec often carried surprisingly high insurance premiums. This was due in part to its poor reliability, frequent repairs, and lack of safety features compared to competitors. Owners found themselves paying more for insurance on a car that offered less in terms of capability and durability. The high premiums further eroded the Aztec's appeal, making it an even harder sell for budget-conscious buyers. For a vehicle marketed as affordable and practical, the hidden costs of ownership only added to the frustration. 30. Cultural punchline. Perhaps the most damning legacy of the Pontiac Aztec is how quickly it became a cultural punchline. From its infamous appearance in Breaking Bad as Walter White's sad, struggling ride to its frequent mentions in worst cars ever lists, the Aztec's reputation has endured for all the wrong reasons. While some cars become icons for their brilliance, the Aztec became an icon of failure. Its blend of awkward design, poor execution, and broken promises turned it into a symbol of what happens when ambition isn't matched by competence. Even today, the Aztec remains a go-to example of how not to build and market a car. Conclusion: Pontiac Aztek, a bold vision that fell flat. The Pontiac Aztek wasn't just a car, it was a cautionary tale. It tried to be bold, adventurous, and innovative, but instead became a symbol of everything that can go wrong when design, engineering, and marketing miss the mark. From its bizarre styling and poor build quality to its mechanical flaws and high costs of ownership, the Aztec managed to alienate buyers across the board. Despite its failure, the Aztec has carved out a unique place in automotive history. It's remembered not for its successes, but for its bold ambition and spectacular shortcomings. It's the car that dared to be different, but ended up as a cultural punchline. For Pontiac, the Aztec was a lesson learned the hard way, and for the rest of us, it's a reminder that not all risks pay off. Thanks for watching The Car Professor. Don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into the cars that shaped history, for better or worse. Let us know your thoughts on the Aztec in the comments below. Was it a misunderstood genius or just a colossal mistake? See you next time.